This is the missing link that we have been searching for when trying to understand mental disorders. It is so obvious. It has been hiding in plain sight, and we have over a century of scientific data to support this. And I know of dozens and dozens and dozens of patients who are putting their chronic, lifelong, life-threatening mental disorders into full, lasting remission. At the end of the day, I am asserting, based on decades and decades of science, that mental disorders are in fact metabolic disorders of the brain. And so at the same time that we see skyrocketing rates of obesity, prediabetes, and diabetes, I am arguing that the brain is being affected in the same ways that people's weight and people's glucose and insulin systems and people's hearts are being affected. I'm arguing that the brain is being affected as well. And that is largely why we are seeing skyrocketing rates of mental disorders. Most people think of metabolism as burning calories, and they think of it as it largely relates to your weight. And if you have a high metabolism, you're going to be thin no matter what. Really, no matter what you eat. And if you have a low metabolism, then you're going to be fat no matter how little you eat. And there is truth in that. Metabolism is, in fact, about burning calories. But I am here to say it is so much more than that. Metabolism is actually fundamental to the definition of all living organisms. It is the process of taking food and oxygen, for example, and turning it into ATP or energy. It's also involved in making building blocks for cells that are used to maintain and grow cells. And it also involves the management of waste products as part of that process. What I am arguing is that if you look at the big picture, if you look at all of those risk factors at the exact same time and try to put them all together in one coherent way, we can finally do that. And that is because there has been an explosion of research over the last 20 years, primarily in the fields of metabolic health and in the field of aging. You know, what causes people to age prematurely, what causes animals and other living organisms to age. We have made tremendous progress in those fields. And what I have done is largely borrowed or synthesized, integrated a lot of that scientific literature with everything that we know in the mental health field and put it together to argue that the only way to understand mental disorders is through metabolism. And more specifically, these tiny things in our cells called mitochondria. In a nutshell, what I'm arguing is that mental disorders represent the brain malfunctioning. They represent parts of the brain either being overactive, underactive, or having absent functions, either because the parts of the brain did not develop properly, which we usually call neurodevelopmental disorders, or parts of the brain actually might shrink and die. And we usually call those neurodegenerative disorders. But in fact, you can put that all together by understanding metabolism and mitochondria. And they are, in fact, the only way to help us see the big picture of what causes the brain to malfunction.